Here's why you should read one book 100 times instead of reading 100 books one time. I've been a coach for over 10 years now, and one of the most common questions I get asked is, "Hey Jad, what books do you read? What books would you recommend?" Well, here are two of my top favorite books. I have other favorite books too. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. These books have really improved the quality of my life, and I read these books hundreds of times. What do I mean by that? I simply mean that every single day I pick up these two books and I read at least one passage out of them. And here's my philosophy on reading books. Why do I have a handful of, let's say, 5 books that I keep reading over and over, hundreds of times, year after year? I've been reading the Think and Grow Rich book for over 15 years now. Well, let's fix that focus. Almost 20 years now I've been reading the book Think and Grow Rich. So, why do I recommend that you read one book 100 times or even 1,000 times versus reading 100 books once? Well, when you read a book once, your retention level, your learning level is very, very low. It's very small. In order for you to actually absorb the principles that are being taught inside of a book, that requires repetition. It also requires implementation. Okay? You need to, in order to learn something, you know what learning is? Learning is behavior change. I got that from Wyatt Woodsmall. Learning is behavior change. If there was no behavior change, nothing was learned. Now, with that definition, let's go back and be honest and say, how many books have you read that didn't lead you to a change in your behavior? You read a book about being fit. Did that change your behavior? Are you now fit and look as good as a fitness model? Maybe you read a book about getting rich. Well, what is your bank account looking like? Maybe you read a relationship or dating book. Well, what does your relationship and dating life look like? So, learning is behavior change. In order to cause behavior change to happen, we need to study. We need repetition. There are 13 principles in this one book. This book is made out of 13 principles of success. How to use this book is, once you're implementing all 13 principles at the same time, then success comes to you. So, when somebody just reads this book once or twice, they're not remembering the principles. They're not implementing all the principles into their lives. They're not internalizing it. Another part of learning is that you have to actually go out into the real world and try something. Now, I want you to listen to this point really carefully. Until you do something, you try something yourself, you don't own it. Let me say that again. Until you take a principle that you learned from a book and implement it yourself in your life and experience it firsthand, you don't own that information. So many people read a book and then claim, "Oh, I know that." You need to prove that you know that by doing it. If you have done it and executed it successfully and repeatedly and gotten to the point where you can duplicate that success consistently and predictably, then you can claim that you know it. Otherwise, if you just read a book and you're like, "Oh yeah, I read that book, it's really good," you don't know what's in that book. You have not absorbed the information. It has not caused a behavior change in your life. And when there is no behavior change, there is no transformation. Let's say that again. When there is no behavior change after picking up a book, that means there is no transformation. No transformation means no growth, means no real improvement in your life. So, It actually is hard work to absorb all the information in one single book. And it takes dedication, time, repetition, focus, commitment, outside application, trial and error. And then after you go and try something, you make mistakes, then you have to come back to the book and reference it and say, I wonder what I did wrong. It's not really working. And then you read the book again and you're like, damn, I missed this detail. And then you go back out and you try again. And then that is the process of learning transformation and behavior change. You reference, you go out, execute, you make mistakes, you come back, you see what you missed, you adjust, you try again, and then you just repeat that cycle over and over and over again. So, my advice to you is choose a handful of books that have the ability to change your life, and I believe Think and Grow Rich is one of those books, and then study them for years. It is better to be a master student of 5 or 6 amazing books rather than having read hundreds of books all just once. What you want to observe is what behavior change is happening inside of me as a result of me reading whatever I'm reading. And you can measure your level of transformation by the level of positive behavior change that is resulting from you reading these wonderful texts. So, the mindset is this: reading a book once, that's entertainment, regardless of what the topic of the book is. If you want behavior change, then you take that book and you study it for years. You read the same book hundreds of times or thousands of times until you are perfectly executing everything that is inside that book. And so in my opinion, more than me recommending 10 or 20 books to you, I say find the few books that are going to make the biggest difference in your life and then become a dedicated student of those 3, 4, or 5 books. And Think and Grow Rich should be on that list. So let me know in the comments below if that changed your perspective on what it means to read a book and what it really means to learn something. If you have an amazing book that you would like to recommend to me, please also let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. My name is Jad T. Jones. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications icon, and tell your friends about this channel if you think it's going to help them. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next.